Well, some cars do and some don't. When you check out the complete car cost guide in the library, look at the trouble index and see if the car usually needs a lot of extra service. If it does, get a service contract. If it doesn't, don't. Remember, you can negotiate the price of a service contract also. So find out the dealer cost beforehand and use it in your negotiations while you're negotiating the price of the car. Let's recap what we have. Grab a pen and paper and jot these down. When choosing your car, know what you want before you go into the dealership by test driving the type of cars that you want. Do your research. Go to the library and check out the consumer reports. And don't fall under the new car trance. When buying your car, get a simple interest car loan from the bank. If you have poor credit and must finance through the dealerships, then shop around for the lowest interest rate and use a monthly amortization table to figure out your monthly payments. You can buy this book from your local bookstore. Bring this book with you when you negotiate your price. This way the dealership won't be able to play games with you. Now, this does not mean you should negotiate monthly payments. You should find out the interest rate you are getting from the dealership first, before you even talk price. Make sure you get the lowest interest rate you can. If you have to go to a few dealerships, fine. The amortization table will only come into play after a price has been determined. All dealers will ask, how much can you afford a month? Don't answer this question. Just say it doesn't matter and to continue to negotiate the price of the car. The amortization book is very easy to use. Just find your interest rate, the amount you are financing, and follow to how many years you are financing. And there's your monthly payment. Plain and simple. Don't let a salesman tell you there are extra charges like service charges or whatever else, because there shouldn't be. So try to get a loan from a bank first. The interest is typically lower than a dealer-financed car. Use your amortization table. Know the value of your trade-in, or better yet, don't trade it in at all. If possible, sell your car instead. If you're going to trade it in, don't tell the salesperson about it until the end of the deal. Negotiate the purchase price first, then talk about the trade-in. Know the dealer invoice price by using the complete car cost guide or an auto brokerage service. Negotiate the purchase price of the car and not the monthly payment. Go to at least 3 dealerships. By the way, when going to the dealership, ask for the fleet manager and try to get fleet prices. Sometimes you can get better prices and you can avoid the salesman-closer routine. And finally, here are some other notes to be careful about. Watch out for the lowball prices. Watch out for sales.
Mike, it says here in this ad, they offer 0% financing, a $4,000 minimum on a trade-in, and the car we want for only $15,000. Sounds too good to be true.
It probably is. Ads in the newspaper, radio, and television are not designed to sell cars. They are designed to get you into the showroom so they can sell you a car. Read the fine print and don't be surprised if the car advertised is no longer available or not what you thought it was. Is leasing for you? Well, leasing is a good alternative to buying, but not necessarily the cheapest. The cheapest way to own a car is to buy it and nurse it to a ripe old age. But for those of you who keep a car only 3 to 4 years, leasing is at least competitive with owning. Leasing is also sometimes the only way to drive a new car when you can afford to make monthly payments, but don't have enough cash for a big down payment. Leasing a car has some distinct advantages to buying a car. 1. You don't have to come up with a big down payment. With the price of a typical new car ranging around $19,000, the usual 20% down payment can become pretty hefty. Usually you have to pay the first month's payment and a refundable security deposit. 2. Your monthly payments will often be lower if you lease. Here's why. When you buy a $30,000 car, for instance, you make payments based on that price, minus the down payment. But when you lease, the payments are lower because the car isn't yours when the lease is up. That means you don't have to pay for the whole car. The car that costs $30,000 might still be worth $15,000 after a 36-month lease. So the leasing company would base their payments on $15,000, not $30,000. 3. You can walk away from the car at the end of the lease and let the leasing company have the headache of reselling it. 4. You can drive a more expensive car and trade it in more frequently. With luxury cars costing $40,000 or more these days, many people can only afford to buy them with long-term loans of 5 or 6 years to afford them. Since lease payments are lower, you may be able to take a shorter-term lease and still have an affordable monthly payment. Sounds pretty good, huh? No down payment, lower monthly payments, no resale hassle. Make no mistake, leasing is almost always more expensive than buying a car. That's because at the end of the lease, you have nothing to show for all those payments. You can either drop the car off or buy it at the residual value. Let's look at this example of a car that is selling for $19,112. If you pay by cash, you pay $19,112. If you buy it with a conventional loan at a 20% down payment, you'll pay $3,822 down and 36 monthly payments of $502 each, totaling $18,072, meaning you'll pay $21,894. On a lease, we'll give the car a residual value of 37%, which brings it to $6,975. You'll typically pay $461 per month, totaling $16,596, plus the $6,975 residual means if you wanted to buy this car at the end of the lease, it would cost you $23,571. You see, with a lease, you're only paying $16,596, but you have nothing to show for it at the end of the lease. Here are some terms you should know. The residual. This is the predetermined projected value of the car at the end of the lease. The higher the residual value of the car, the lower your monthly payments will be. This is the amount that you will have to pay if you want to buy the car at the end of the lease. A commonly asked question is,
should I buy the car at the end of the lease?
If the car